Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit of a different video. So these are the Xfinity playoffs. As you can see, Xfinity playoffs start today at Kansas. Race starts at 4 o'clock. I'm recording this just 2 hours before the race began. I'm not gonna lie with you. I had a lot, and I mean a lot, of back and forth with this year's Xfinity playoffs, because this has been arguably the most competitive the Xfinity series has ever been in terms of playoffs and stuff. Like, it's top heavy. The championship four, I think it's a little bit. It was a pretty easy for me to predict, but who's gonna make it to the round of 8? Who's gonna make it to? Who's gonna be out in the round of 12? That was pretty tough because every single driver that made the playoffs on the grid, um, everyone, they have a case to at the very least make it out of the round of 12, and it's very tough because four of these guys are gonna have to be eliminated. Even someone like Sammy Smith, Parker Kligerman, two guys that had to wait until the last race to clinch their spots at Bristol last week, last race of the regular season. Those guys have a pretty solid case at making it outside of the first round. So yeah, let's just wait for some guys to see if they join this stream. Let's see if they do. If they don't, then I'm just gonna start the stream immediately. Just gonna wait and see for these guys to join. Check here. See, I just wanna share the stream. I don't wanna log on to Twitter. Come on. Shoot, I misclicked. Okay. Okay, never mind. And that should do it. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so as I said, every single driver right here, they have a chance to, at the very least, make it out of the first round. Unfortunately, 8 of these drivers are going to be eliminated. Now, rather, only 8 will advance, 4 will be eliminated. Sorry, miswording there. But yeah, because of how tough and how back and forth I was, instead of saying who's going to be eliminating the round of 12, who's going to be eliminating the round of 8, like how I usually do, I'm going to go out of order, and I'm going to talk about these drivers in order, and just talk about how they, or how I feel they're going to be performing, or what my expectations are. Like I said, every single driver, they have a case to make it out of the round of 12. I'm not saying every one of them will advance because 4 of them need to be eliminated. But yeah, let's start. Let's start with Cole Custer, defending series champion and regular season champion. He managed to get the regular season title from Allgaier at the last race at Bristol after Allgaier just had a bad race, an absolutely bad race. Even for Allgaier standards, I did not expect him to lose the regular season title in that fashion, especially with Bristol being one of his best tracks. But yeah, Custer comes with some added momentum, some extra playoff points. He's definitely going to be championship 4. He's definitely coming back to the championship 4. He's going to have a solid... I don't think he's going to, do... I don't think he's going to do really bad in the playoffs. I don't think he's gonna run badly. I think he's gonna run like in the top 5, top 10-ish. I don't know if he's gonna win another race. Could probably go back to back at Phoenix, but if we're being honest, with the playoff points that he has, I feel like consistency could could help him. Uh, but yeah, I think Custer has a clear path to make it back to the championship four. Um, Sam Mayer. Now this is the guy. This is one of the, I don't want to say that Sam Mayer is the main reason why the Xfinity series are pretty hard to predict, but he is kind of like the main driver. That's like the most difficult one. Like, I don't know what to expect out of Sam Mayer. This guy is the biggest wild card of the playoff grid. He could either be eliminated in the round of 12 or he could make it all the way to the championship 4. There's no in between. You think he will be eliminated in the round of 12, but then you remember he won the Charlotte Roval race last year, and he also won Homestead, so there's a chance that he makes it to the championship 4. And Martinsville, there have always been fireworks. The Xfinity race at Martinsville has always, the playoff race I'm talking about, it's always featured some fireworks in the last 3 years that he has ran, that more than I remember. Yeah, the past 3 races, 2021, 22, 23, there have been some fireworks that have kind of, there have been some stuff that has really shaken out the playoff grid at the last moment. Like some drivers like locking themselves in below the cut line and the like. Sam Mayer could potentially do that and make it all the way to Phoenix. That being said, I think I'm gonna go in between. I think Mayer is gonna make it out of the round of 12. Round of 8, it's pretty iffy though. Especially when you see the drivers that I got out of that I got in the championship 4. It's gonna be very hard to justify putting Sam Mayer over any of those 4 guys. AJ Allmendinger. There was a point in time midway through the regular season where I thought Allmendinger could potentially be a round of 12 or a first round exit, because I didn't think because of how badly he was performing. Not even he could carry Colleague, because for years, even when Colleague was going down a tailspin, Allmendinger was like the only guy that was carrying them and putting up results for them. But this year, it looks like he has regressed. Colleague has regressed to such a point that not even Allmendinger himself can save them. Of course, I started thinking, if Allmendinger makes the playoffs, which he obviously did, but is Allmendinger gonna be a first round exit? Which is kind of hard to believe, because the guy is good at Talladega, and Charlotte Roval is basically his playground. So only because of those 2 tracks, I'm going to put him in the round of 8 as well. I think he has a better case of making it to round of 8 over 4 other drivers. I feel confident, even with Allmendinger just not being his 2021, 2022 self. I feel like Allmendinger can do enough to at the very least make it out of the round of 12. Championship 4 though, I don't think that's a bit of a stretch. Like I said, this is not the same AJ Allmendinger from a few seasons ago, unfortunately. Now, Sheldon Creed. Like Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed is kind of like a wild card as well, which is pretty funny because both Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed are going to be teammates at Haas next year. So it's kind of funny that I say both of them are wild cards in this year's playoffs. But Sheldon Creed is a wild card for pretty different reasons than Sam Mayer. For pretty much the opposite reasons. While Sam Mayer has won but has been inconsistent, Sheldon Creed has a consistency thing marked down, but he hasn't won. A lot of people and I've seen a lot of people predict a Daniel Hemrick type of run, like, oh, Sheldon Creed is gonna make it to the championship 4 2021 Daniel Hemrick, and then he's gonna win the title. I'm not one of those people, okay? I'm not one of those people. Yes, I think Sheldon Creed is gonna have a solid playoffs, and I think he's going to come pretty close to making it to the championship 4. But it all hinges on whether he wins and gets hot in the playoffs. If he wins a race and gets hot in the playoffs, then I'm pretty sure he's going to be a championship 4 candidate. But at the current moment, I don't see him making it any further than the round of 8. And yes, I know his season has had a lot of parallels to, Daniel Hemrick and the like, but unfortunately, a lot of people tend to forget the fact of how unlikely the circumstances that led to Hemric's 2021 title were. Like that 2021 title from Daniel Hemric is not something that happens a lot, which is why that title is special. You know, like, yeah, it would be pretty crazy to see Sheldon Creed repeat the same feat that Hemric did 3 years ago, but it's more unlikely than you think. So unfortunately, unless Sheldon Creed gets hot in the playoffs and finally breaks through and wins a race, and I don't think he's gonna make it to Phoenix this year. He's gonna make it out of the first round for sure, but Phoenix, it's gonna be. But the road to Phoenix is gonna be really tough. The round of 8, in order for him to make it to round of 8, it's not just gonna be consistent finishes. He's gonna need stage points and probably a win to lock himself in. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. Jesse Love. Speaking of Sheldon Creed's replacement, Jesse Love. I really wanted to put Jesse Love in the round of 8. I really wanted to. Because of the Talladega win, and solely because of that Talladega win. That being said, it's Talladega. Anything can happen at Talladega. The guy who won the first race, just because you won a super speedway race, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna sweep everything, every single super speedway race of the season, unless your name is Austin Hill, which is funny because he is Austin Hill's teammate. But just because he won Talladega, and that doesn't mean I'm gonna give Jesse Love a free pass to round of 8. And I kind of try to justify putting him here, but unfortunately, like I said, he's a rookie as well, and yeah, he's shown flashes, but unfortunately, Talladega is not the only track in the round of 12, and anything could happen at Talladega. Like, yeah, Jesse Love won the first race. There's no guarantee that he's gonna win the second race. And there's also the Charlotte Roval to worry about. Also Kansas, which are tracks that, yeah, he has run at Kansas in the Arca series before. But the Roval is a completely different monster, and I don't know how well he's gonna run. Maybe I could be wrong. Like I said, he definitely has a chance to make it to round of 8. But like I said, this playoff grid Xfinity this year is just so damn competitive. Every single driver, I feel, has a chance at making it to round of 12. They have a case for making it out of the first round. And unfortunately, 4 guys got to be eliminated. Unfortunately, I think Jesse Love's going to be one of those guys. I think he's going to barely... he's going to finish like 19 points. He's going to miss the cut line by, I don't know, 2 to 3 points. But again, you got to remember, the guy's a rookie as well. I'm pretty sure he's going to be back as long as he avoids a sophomore slump. So... again, I'm keeping my expectations low for him, unfortunately. Speaking of his teammate, though, Austin Hill, I know Hill, for the past 2 seasons, he's had some pretty terrible luck and not being able to advance to the championship 4. And his Achilles heel is pretty simple: short, flat tracks. Yeah, Austin Hill, he runs pretty well on the bigger tracks, but on the smaller, flatter tracks like Martinsville and Phoenix, he tends to struggle, which is the main reason why he has never been able to make it to the championship 4 in any of the seasons he has been a full-time driver. Not in the Truck Series since 2019, not in Xfinity in 2022, 2023. In the 3 seasons that he was in trucks, he didn't make the championship 4 either. This guy just is allergic to the championship 4. And he's just allergic to short tracks overall. I know I got a running joke on my Twitter account about how, anytime something bad happens to Austin Hill on a short track, he's like, oh yeah, let's just add it. Let's just add another. That's just another Austin Hill versus short tracks moment right there. I do think though that, yeah, even though the bottom of the playoff grid is like very competitive, I feel like the top is pretty clear cut. And as long as Austin Hill avoids trouble and he somehow manages to get the short track things figured out to the point that he can run like in the top 10 and not wreck out and not get wrecked out at the last moment or have an issue. I think he's gonna make it to the championship 4. I don't think he's gonna win the title. I don't think he will. But I think the road is pretty clear unless, you know, Sam Mayer gets hot or Sheldon Creed gets hot. If that's the case, if one of these two guys make it win a race and lock themselves into Phoenix, then I think it's gonna get pretty tough for Austin Hill, and I will reconsider having him in the championship 4. But as of right now, I would say he's won at Las Vegas in the past, and Homestead is a pretty sneaky good track for him. I think if he does pretty well and runs like top 5 and scores a bunch of stage points at those two tracks, I feel like he can have enough of a cushion to, and if he enters Martinsville with big enough of a cushion, I think Austin Hill can, you know, avoid any misfortune that happens, or he can pretty much survive any misfortune that happens if it happens and make it to Phoenix. Now, that I don't think he's going to win the title, obviously. I'm just putting him here because we need 4 drivers at Phoenix, and I think Austin Hill's going to be one of the 4. Moving on, going to Parker Kligerman now in his lame duck season. I really had high hopes for Kligerman last year. Last year, I had Kligerman going all the way to the round of 8. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the case. Like I've said like several times already in this video, playoff bubble, or not really the playoff bubble, like the bottom of the playoff grid, like especially the bottom half, is just too damn competitive. And Kligerman is also in his lame duck year, so I don't know. Emotions are pretty high, honestly. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Kligerman is gonna be able to. It's gonna be able to do much. I think it's gonna be like Jesse Love. He's gonna finish like something 5 points below the cut line, 6 points, but he's ultimately gonna miss the cut to round of 8 because it's very hard. Even with Sam Mayer's inconsistency, I feel like Sam Mayer has a better case to make it out of the first round. Allmendinger has the Roval. Sheldon Creed, he's just pretty much a second place machine at this point. Yeah. And the same goes for Sammy Smith, honestly. The last guy, both Kligerman and Sammy Smith are pretty much in the same boat, in the sense that they were the last 2 guys to qualify into the playoffs, and because of that, they're like the bottom 2 seeds. They're already entering the playoffs below the cut line. And even though they had their flashes and moments of consistency, all it takes is one bad race for them to just go below the cut line. And with wildcard races like Talladega and the Roval, and Kansas, if you remember, there were some years where the playoff race at Kansas, like 2018, 2019, that race has been a bit of a wild card race. So Kansas is also a pretty sneaky track where anything can happen. With how unpredictable this race can be, yes, they have a chance at making it to round of 8 if one of these guys that I got, either Mayer or Creed or Allmendinger or whoever else I have there, if they falter, then yes, I can definitely see Kligerman and Sammy Smith taking advantage, but the reverse is also true. And unfortunately, since the 2 of them have a higher road to, have a higher hole, are in a deeper hole, they're starting out from like already below the cut line. Unfortunately, they have to make up a bigger points gap than the guys that I have in the round of 8. And unfortunately, I don't feel they will be up to the task, simply because those guys are just better than them. Again, like I said, they do have a chance of making it out. I just think because of the difficulty and the fact that look at the drivers they're going up against, I don't think it's going to be the case. Justin Allgaier is next. If I was ranking the Xfinity drivers based on how fast they have been, Allgaier would definitely be number 1 by a mile. That 7 team, they have definitely shown the most speed this season. And if it wasn't for that bad race at Bristol, they should have won the regular season title. But unfortunately, that bad race at Bristol, that was just a summary of how Justin Allgaier's career has gone so far. You think he's going to win big, but in the most inopportune moments, and he just something ends up happening to him, and he just ends up losing in the most catastrophic / heartbreaking fashion, be it a championship or a race win, or in this case, a regular season title. That being said, make no mistake, Allgaier, along with Cole Custer, I feel are the two safest bets to make it to the championship for this season. Now, obviously, do I think Allgaier is going to win the title? No. He's kind of like in the same boat as what Denny Hamlin is in the Cup Series, in the sense that I'm going to have to see it to believe it when it comes to winning a... When it comes to Allgaier winning an Xfinity title, it's the same thing with Denny Hamlin winning a Cup title. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Allgaier has had, counting off the top of my head, 2016, 2017, 2019, although he wasn't really a contender. He was just the fourth driver to the big three. But I'm still going to count it because he was technically part of the championship four. 2020... 2022, 2023, he's made it to the championship four 6 times, and he's gone 0 for 6. He's made more championship fours in Xfinity than Denny Hamlin has done in Cup, and he has not won yet. Now, obviously, this could be the year. I'm not discounting that, but because of his track record and the fact that Allgaier is the most unfortunate driver, and let's not forget, the championship race is at Phoenix, and need I remind you? I don't need to remind you what happened in the spring race at Phoenix early this year with Allgaier leading with 5 to go, a tire blows, and he ends up crashing out. Yeah. It doesn't matter how fast Allgaier is. At some point, it doesn't matter how fast Allgaier is or how good the 17 just executes all week long. All it takes is one bad moment, a blown tire, a late race caution, whatever happens, a mechanical failure too, or lap cars crashing into each other and in front of the leader, and Allgaier being involved in the wreck somehow. That's all it takes for this title bid to entirely fall apart to that 7 team. Unfortunately, even though I got him in the championship 4, like Austin Hill, I don't think Allgaier is going to win the title. Riley Herbst, next up. There's a few drivers left. Another driver that I really wanted to justify putting in the round of 8, because ever since the 98, he missed the playoffs. Riley has finally broken through in victory lane, winning 2 races ever since missing the playoffs last year. He won at Las Vegas, and then he won at Indianapolis earlier this year to lock himself into this year's playoffs. I really tried to justify putting Riley Herbst in this in the round of 8, but because Shane Bergen is in the playoffs and the Charlotte Roval is in the playoffs, unfortunately I'm gonna have to, and this is gonna be kind of a bold prediction, I think SVG is going to make the round of 8 simply because of the Charlotte Roval performance. Like, it doesn't even matter if he runs mediocre at Kansas or Talladega. If he scores a bunch of stage points and finishes in the top 5 at Charlotte Roval, he's going to win. He's going to, not really going to win necessarily, but he could advance to the round of 8. And yeah, I know what I've said before, like, I'm not a fan of drivers, like, putting everything in a single basket because anything can go wrong for them, and it's an ending to a title bid for them, and that's where the title bid ends. But in the case of SVG, I feel like he could make it work, like putting all of his eggs in the Charlotte Roval basket and win the race. I mean, it happened to Sam Mayer last year, and he managed to win the race by putting up a complete weekend together at the Roval when he was, like, way below the cut line. And SVG is a road course ace. And not only that, he also has the playoff points to boot. He has a fair haul of playoff points. He's starting the race. He's starting the playoffs way above the cut line. I believe he's like the 4th seed, 5th seed of the playoffs. I don't know. He's like in the top 5 in points to start the postseason. I know he's above the cut line by a pretty fair margin. Even if he runs mediocre at Kansas and Talladega, as long as he brings it back in one piece, even if he runs like mid-pack at those 2 races, all he needs to do is run top 5 and score a bunch of stage points at the Roval, and he is in the next round. And unfortunately, because of SVG being a wild card, um, and because of the wild card element of the Charlotte Roval, and with SVG just being amazing on road courses, unfortunately, this is gonna put a guy like Riley Herbst outside of the round of 12, because I really wanted to put Riley Herbst in here. I really wanted to have Riley Herbst like in the round of 8 because, a little bit of a fun fact. I don't know how much of a fun fact this is, but Riley Herbst has never made it past the first round in the playoffs. Never. I really thought it was gonna be the year, but then I remember, SVG's in the Roval, he's gonna dominate, and unfortunately, this is gonna knock out a few of these guys out of the playoffs. And unfortunately, as you can see now, Jesse Love, Parker Kligerman, Sammy Smith, Riley Herbst, because of SVG being good at being a god on road courses, unfortunately, these are gonna be the 4 guys that are gonna be eliminated. I could just I could just go crazy and say SVG is gonna be eliminated in the first round despite his great performance in the Charlotte Roval, but I don't think that's gonna be the case. And again, I like SVG way too much. I had faith in the guy. Obviously, I don't think he's gonna win every single. I don't think he's gonna win every single road course, because his chance to win every single road course was gone at Coda thanks to Austin Hill. But he has been pretty good since then. He's been the best driver at road courses, even better than Allmendinger. So, I do think if someone can make the Charlotte Roval, like putting all of your eggs in one basket thing, I think SVG can make it work at the Roval. And finally, by process of elimination, this obviously means that Chandler Smith is going to be the 4th and final driver to make it out of the Championship 4. The 81 team, they started off the season hot with 2 wins and a bunch of top 5s, where for a while, for the first couple of months, only him and Austin Hill were the only series regulars to win, and they had multiple wins by then. By the time the next series regular, which was Sam Mayer, who won at Texas over that photo finish over Ryan Sieg. But before that race at Texas, a lot of people will forget, Chandler Smith and Austin Hill, they were the only series regulars to win in the first 2.5 months in Xfinity, and they had multiple wins. Ever since then, however, Chandler Smith has kind of quieted down. But in the closing races of the regular season, I've noticed that he's kind of picked it up again. Obviously, I do think he's kind of like the 3rd driver behind Custer and Allgaier to make it to the Championship 4. Simply because he's just gotten hot the past couple of weeks. I don't think his path is as clear cut, because I just feel like he's a tier below the 00 and the 7. But he has definitely a case to be the 3rd best driver this season so far. It's between him and Austin Hill, obviously. But if he makes it to Phoenix, I will watch out for him. Because like I said, Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier, I don't think they're going to win the title. Austin Hill, I think, is going to be a non-factor at Phoenix. And Allgaier is, obviously, he's going to make it. He's going to make his best effort. But I know something's going to happen, and the 7 team's not going to win the title again. But yeah, I think the title is going to come down to Cole Custer and Chandler Smith. And even though Chandler, I like Chandler more, I think this is going to be Cole Custer's year. I think he's going to go back to back, and he's going to go back to the Cup Series as a 2-time Xfinity champion, this time more mature and more ready than ever to bring the Haas factory team back to hopefully back to prominence. I know it's kind of a tall task for him, but Cole Custer was always the guy for the Haas factory team, because he is not only a Ford guy, he is Gene Haas's guy. And I'm not just saying that because his father, he's an executive with Gene Haas and he's very close with Gene Haas. But every single step through the development ladder in NASCAR, Cole Custer has always been supported by Gene Haas. So if Gene Haas was going to go back to, being a one-car team with no Tony Stewart there, Cole Custer had to be the guy to help Gene Haas rebuild and separate himself from Tony Stewart with the new Haas factory team thing. So hopefully Cole Custer gets his send-off. But yeah, These are my Xfinity playoff predictions. Just to recap, every single driver, again, like I said, they have a pretty good case to make it out of the round of 12. But unfortunately, 4 drivers have to be eliminated. I think those 4 drivers will be Jesse Love, Parker Kligerman, Sammy Smith, and Riley Herbst. Then at the round of 8, SVG is gonna get eliminated. He's gonna make it out of the first round simply because of his stellar performance at the Charlotte Roval. But after that, he's gonna get eliminated, as well as Sheldon Creed, Allmendinger, and Sam Mayer. And then the championship 4 is gonna be Cole Custer, Allgaier, Chandler Smith, and Austin Hill. Austin Hill's gonna suck because short tracks are his Achilles heel. Allgaier is gonna make his best effort, but I know something's gonna happen, and he's not gonna win the title, unfortunately, because that 7 team is cursed. The title's gonna come down to Cole Custer and Chandler Smith, but because of Cole Custer being more experienced and also, wanting to move up to the Cup Series, wanting to leave the Xfinity Series as a 2-time champion back-to-back, I think he's gonna be extra motivated to win and also go back-to-back at Phoenix as well. I think Cole Custer is gonna go back-to-back. Obviously, these predictions are subject to change. I'm making these predictions as of 2:30 p.m. on September 28th on a Saturday, an hour and a half roughly before the Xfinity race at Kansas kicks off to begin the playoffs. But yeah, that's all for my part, and let's enjoy these Xfinity playoffs. Let's see how they turn out, and let's see how these playoffs age. I'm pretty sure, 90% sure, these predictions are gonna age poorly, but that's just par for the course when you're making predictions like this. So anyways, see ya. Until next time.